So now that we can add to-dos, we're going to need to add a little bit more functionality, and we'll start by being able to delete to-dos. So in my head, the way this works is next to each to-do item, eventually there will be an edit button and a delete button. But for now, we're going to start with a delete button. And since that's the case, basically I want to have to write into this component. So because that is the case, I'm going to have to modify this test to do it. So here I'm going to say it has a delete button, and this button we are going to well, so here's the problem. We're going to have to do this. I would like to do it with get by role, but I know that there are going to be two of them. And so if I do that, eventually I'm going to have to refactor it. So I might as well do it right now. And I think the easiest way to do this is going to be simply to extract it to a component with its own test ID. So in order to have a to-do at all, then I need to make sure that the to-do itself renders. So I'm going to take all of this right here. I'm going to duplicate it in here, and we don't care about this piece. And actually what I care about here is that there is going to be a button named btn delete. And this thing is going to have to, there's going to be a delete function that is going to need to be called. So let's go ahead and create that. So const delete to do equals just again .fn. And in here, I'm just going to add delete to do as a prop. Obviously, that doesn't get called. And we're going to expect, so instead of calling this one UI, I'm just going to call this one button. And then I'm going to click it. Clock it. We're going to click it. And then we're going to expect, once this is clicked, that delete to do was called once, and I want to expect that delete to have been called with the actual to do. Okay. Okay, so if we save this, it's failing, which is fine. I'm going to start simplifying the tests a little bit. So let's only look at the to do test. At this point, it's simply faster. So there is no to do, no button there. So on the to do itself now, I'm going to create a function. I'm going to create this component in here, which is a little bit different than what we've done before. We'll see later, maybe we'll extract it out. So function button delete. This is going to take in a to do and a delete, well, we'll say handle click. All right, and this one is going to return button type equals button, and on click equals handle click. Just say delete for now. Maybe later we'll put on like a nice icon or something. And we're going to give it a test, a data test ID of btn. Now in here, I can add this, and I'm going to say, I guess I don't need to pass the to do at all. I can just pass in the handle click. So here we'll have handle click equals, and there is no delete to do in here yet. We need to pass one in. Okay, so far, what do we got? So we expected it to be called this way, but it was not. And that makes sense because we need to have our own thingy. So what I'm going to say here is function handle delete. And here we're going to delete with the to do. Now this function is going to be handle delete. Now our tests pass. And the reason why it was failing before was that by default, the click event is passed in. And so we didn't have a way to pass the to do into our button. Okay, so that should be working. The only problem is that we need a test to show that when you do this in the app, it really actually works. So coming to, well, actually, I guess we don't really need it. We just need a way to prove that when you click it from the app, it produces an actual click event. So here we could say it deletes a task or a to-do on the list. And in here, since app does not take a list of to-dos, we will have to go ahead and actually enter something again. The same way. And after this, we will have an item in the list. And now we have to actually find that item and click the button that's on it. So now I'm going to say const btn delete equals screen dot get by test ID, and there should only be one, btn delete. And then we'll say button delete dot click. And now I want to expect that the list does not have text content. So expect so here we'll say const list. We have to do this after the click. So const list equals screen.get by test ID to list. And we're going to expect that list not to have content of task. This should fail, I think. So let's run all the tests. Okay. Delete to do is not a function. That is as expected. So we have to now fix that problem. So here we can add it takes in a to do, and we'll save it and get a new error. Okay, delete to do is still not a function, and that's because we haven't passed it down. So it has to go into the to-do list because that is where the to-do item is. So to-do list has to take this in now as well. And this is going to be comma delete to do equals delete. Finally, on the to-do itself, we need to put that in. Okay. Now, if we look at it, what did we get as our error now? Cannot access delete to do before initialization. Okay. This is in to-do list.test, and that is probably because I am missing in my tests here. I think I'm going to need to add this to all of them. To do delete to do equals yes.fn. Okay. So the function, obviously, it doesn't do anything yet. So that's why this test is failing, which is good. That's how it should be. So let us now actually implement the function. So in this function, I want to say set to do's previous becomes previous dot filter each to do where to do dot id does not equal to do dot id. Now have delete implemented. Now you may have noticed that this is a little bit ugly in terms of the way all of this code is. Certainly to-do list doesn't need to know anything about this function. We're just passing it right through here, and all the tests got a little bit ugly as we go. So in the next video, we're going to refactor this into a context. So we have our I want this. We have our everything ready to go. So let's take a quick look here. This stuff was all refactored in. This one was a simple addition on the to-do itself. This is the test, that's fine. And in here, we have everything we need. The only question is, do we want to refactor this button out? And I think right now the answer is no. So I'm going to go ahead, add all of these changes, and we're going to add our feature of delete. And we'll say that concludes this video.